This video is part of a series called Kolbrin's Bible and represents the second episode. You can search the rest of the series in the playlist. Now I will talk about the Eden present in this so-called Bible. When the earth was young and the race of man still as children, there were fertile green pastures in the lands where all is now sand and barren wasteland. In the midst of it was a gardenland, which lay against the edge of the earth, eastward towards the sunrise, and it was called Merwa, meaning the place of the garden on the plain. It was a fertile place, for out of the ground grew every kind of tree that was good for food and every tree that was pleasant to the sight. Every herb that could be eaten and every herb that flowered was there. The tree of life, which was called glaza, having leaves of gold and copper, was within the sacred enclosure. There too was the great tree of wisdom bearing the fruits of knowledge, granting the choice and ability to know the true from false. It is the same tree which can be read as men read a book. There also was the tree of trespass, beneath which grew the lotus of rapture, and in the center was the place of power, where God made his presence known. Now we have the coming of a man, a sort of biblical Adam, who arrives after days of travel in this garden. He was wise and knew all things. He beheld mysteries and the secret things hidden from the eyes of other men. He saw sunrise and the sun setting in their splendor, but he longed for things not realizable in the place where he lived. So because he walked with God, he was culled out from his kind of him and brought to Merwa, the garden place. Upon arrival, this travel-weary man drinks the waters of this place and falls asleep. He has a vision, a being who claims to be God, the God above all, even above the God of Fanva, so there seem to be other gods. This tells him, I now made my governor on earth, and you shall rule all things here, guiding them in my ways, leading them ever upwards into glory. This will be your job, and behold, here it is your reward. In this vision this sort of Adam sees a beautiful woman, but she was not flesh and blood, and she possessed some sort of etheric body. Upon awakening, Fanva, or Adam, continues to see the woman everywhere, but she is always without a body. He doesn't get scared, as this figure almost seems to reassure him with his smile. Time passes and one day Fanva wakes up and finds himself surrounded by many beings. He fell asleep in the heat of the day and awoke to find himself surrounded by the sons of Bothas, not true men but yoslings, kinsfolk to the beasts of the forest. Before they could take his strength and wisdom from him, he loosed himself among them, slaying some in his rage and might before the rest ran away. During this fight Fanva, our Adam, is wounded. Blood flows on his side, the etheric female figure approaches, and by touching Fanva's blood she materializes, obtaining a body. Therefore, when he had grown strong again, he made her queen of the gardenland, and she was so called even by our fathers, who named her Gula, but Fanva called her Ama, meaning helpmate. In our tongue, she is called the Fodi of Fanevid. Within the gardenland was the sacred enclosure, the domain of Fanva and Arua, forbidden to those of the children of God who had now come to this place. It contained the chalice of fulfillment, granting any who drank from it the realization of all things to which they aspired. It is not might drink from this, save Fanva and Arua. Also, there was the cauldron of immortality, containing an essence distilled from the fruits growing in the garden, and this guarded against mortal ills. So, we have a sort of liquid that must be reserved to only this Adam and Eve, and continuing this story, the two have children, who in turn have children with other children of God. Outside the sacred enclosure, known as Gizar, but forming a gateway, into it was a circular structure of stones called Gilgal, and within this was a shrine, wherein was kept a sacred vessel called Gwyndueva. This was like a goblet, and it was made of rainbow-hued crystal set in gold with pearls. Above the cup appeared a shimmering moon-colored mist, like a thin cold flame. At certain times, when the heavens were in a proper position, the Gwyndueva was filled with moondew and potions from the cauldron within the sacred enclosure, making a pale honey-colored liquor, and this the people drank from the goblet. However, there were different proportions in the vessel for those of the blood of Fanva and Arua and those who were children of God, but not of their blood. It was the potion of Gwyndueva which kept away disease and sickness from those who drank it. Therefore, we have this sort of liquid, which makes us strong and keeps away diseases which, among other things, affect the Yoslings, those who attack Adam. In fact, we will now discover that the Yoslings are those who inherit death. This liquid is reserved only for our Adam and Eve and their offspring. In fact, in the text it is also said that the other children of God, those with whom the children of Adam and Eve mate, this privilege is not reserved for them because of the different proportions in the liquid. Furthermore, it is absolutely forbidden to mate with the Yoslings. In fact, surrounding the land of the children of God was the wasteland where the Yoslings dwelt, called the children of Zumat, meaning those who inherit death. Of these, Nimtenagal, the cunning hunter, was the wisest and most cunning. He alone was not afraid of the children of God, and he alone dared enter the Garden land. I have already an idea who this hunter could be, but we will discuss this later on the next episode. Thanks for watching.